King Alaric Valemont was a man forged by duty. His crown was heavy, not because of the jewels set into it, but because of the expectations that came with it. Beside him stood Queen Seraphina, graceful and wise, her eyes holding secrets no council chamber ever heard. Together they had one son, Prince Selim, heir to the throne, raised within stone walls and strict lessons, taught to rule but never to feel. Selim was admired by the court but distant from the people. He had never walked the crowded markets without guards or listened to the struggles of farmers whose lands fed the kingdom. His tutors praised his intelligence, yet whispered among themselves that something vital was missing: compassion. One winter evening, under a silver moon, the kingdom received troubling news. Famine was spreading through the eastern villages. Taxes had been paid, laws obeyed, yet hunger did not care for loyalty. The council advised restraint. If we show weakness, they said, the nobles will rebel. The king remained silent, torn between the stability of the throne and the suffering of his people. That night, Queen Seraphina sought her son in the palace garden. Frost clung to the roses as she spoke softly. "Tomorrow, you will wear the crown one day," she said. "But a true king must understand what lies beyond these walls." Before dawn, she gave Selim a simple cloak and a single command: leave the palace. See the kingdom as it truly is. Disguised as a common traveler, Selim slipped beyond the gates. For the first time, no guards followed. The road felt cold and uncertain, yet strangely alive. In the villages, he saw children sharing crusts of bread, mothers bargaining tears for grain, and fathers bowing to debt collectors who showed no mercy. In one small village, Selim met an old woman named Aurelion, who invited him into her broken cottage. She had nothing but thin soup and warm words. When he offered coin, she smiled and refused. "Gold feeds the stomach once," she said, "but kindness feeds the soul forever." Her words stayed with him. Days later, Selim witnessed soldiers enforcing royal law, his law. A farmer was punished for failing to pay taxes despite losing his crops to frost. Selim felt shame burn within him. This was the shadow of the crown he had never seen. When he returned to the palace weeks later, he was no longer the same man. His posture was humbler, his eyes clearer. Standing before the court, he broke protocol and spoke openly. "We rule from marble halls," he declared, "while our people freeze in the fields. A crown that ignores pain is not a symbol of strength, it is a weight of injustice." The court erupted in outrage. Nobles demanded punishment. The king's advisers warned of chaos. Yet King Alaric, seeing his son not as a prince but as a future king, raised his hand for silence. That very day, the prince proposed a radical decree: reduced taxes, royal grain stores opened to the people, and noble lands required to support the poor during winter. Many nobles resisted, but the people stood with the crown for the first time in generations. Change was not gentle. Power never surrenders quietly. But slowly, trust replaced fear. The eastern villages survived the winter. Songs were written not about gold or conquest, but about a prince who walked among the hungry. Years later, when King Alaric passed and Selim was crowned, the ceremony was unlike any before it. The palace gates were opened wide, and commoners stood alongside nobles. As Selim placed the crown upon his head, the moonlight reflected off its jewels, softer than before. Queen Seraphina watched with tears in her eyes. The legacy she had protected in silence was now alive. For the people of Aurelion, the royal family was no longer distant shadows behind palace walls. They were guardians, and the crown, once feared, became a promise. A promise that power would never again rise above humanity.